was when you left me, so I drank myself to sleep. And Sunday is when I wake up, not to remember a thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
Say the same thing. I don't know my new girl too well. That all this
Episode
lying
19.
gets to me. And no one seems to give it the way she talks to.
How about a little bit of Theory of a Deadman?
You should have raised some kind of alarm.
You remember this one, guys?
Like who the other guys that you're gone in for? Well,
Yeah.
no surprise.
No surprise.
Turn me on and leave. It ain't no surprise.
Guys, welcome. Welcome.
That you turn around on me. I don't know
Boy, if that doesn't get your blood pumping,
you won't give me.
welcome everybody. Welcome, episode 19, the Bobby Couto Show. Hey, we figured we'd kick it off with a little bit of Theory of a Deadman. You know what? 2005, that was off their album Gasoline. Guys, I hope you are all well. Welcome. I can only imagine we are all on the brink. Considering here we are right in the smack dab middle of the holiday deadlines, right? I mean, if you haven't finished your shopping by now, you might be in a little trouble, unless you're going to go out and get it yourself, right? Unless you know. Oh, here we go. We are here. Guys, welcome everybody. So glad to be here. Episode 19, the Bobby Couto Show. Talking about shopping. I need to come clean, guys. I think if you guys follow Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you guys probably notice I've been stressing a little bit. Rachel and I have been shopping, trying to get a couple of things, last minute things. You start to think about more and more people who you're going to come in contact with, and just want to make sure that you don't forget anybody, right? I mean, that's important. Hey, I hope you guys like the intro, man. I figured mix it up a little bit in just to kind of give you a little something. 2005 was when that was released. I know I mentioned Theory of a Deadman. Or some of you might refer to them as Toad. They were a Canadian rock band. Some of these Canadian bands are pretty good. They come down and just a new. I mean, I know when they came out. I'm a fan. I'm even a fan now. And if you guys want a good album, start to finish, like just start it. That album Gasoline, that'll get you through traffic anytime. Go from defense to offense real quick. Great album though. I mean, just some really good music, cool lyrics. You can kind of get lost in the album. I really enjoy it, and just one of those bands that if you don't remember, you just forget about them. So again, I kind of go through my my music library and see some of the influential music, some of the great genres that I appreciate. When I hear Theory of a Deadman, it makes me think of some great people, some great moments in my life. Even going back to 2005. I mean, if you guys can't remember 2005, right? I mean, we're talking 14 years ago. Seems like it was forever, right? But it really isn't. Time goes by rather quickly, and it seems like it's going by faster and faster. I can't almost keep up, before you know it. My granddaughter, it's unbelievable. 2 years old, a little too over 2 years old, and it just, you can almost, you don't appreciate it when you're younger. You appreciate it when you're old, and you realize how quickly and how rapidly the human brain and body develops. In a short time, the amount of she speaks 2 languages. My mom watches her, for the course of the day while Megan works, and so my mom speaks to her in Portuguese. So she's literally 2 years old, and even today she was combing her hair and she referred to it in Portuguese. So I think that's absolutely amazing. Just another one of those amazing miracles. People, humans, the idea that we're able, and you know what, no matter how amazing technology gets, we still can't replicate the, what it takes to to be a human, right? I mean, we just have some amazing attributes that cannot be duplicated. So you should be feel unique and special about that. Welcome everybody. I just want to say thank you to everyone. The support has been absolutely amazing. I can't thank everyone enough. It's just I get to be honest with you. I'm having such a great time with it now. I went from thinking and dreaming of the podcast to creating it to being somewhere in the middle, and now obviously 19 episodes in, and I almost feel like there's a kind of like a groove. I got a groove going, and the fan base is growing, and I know people are listening, and I'm hoping that the message is clear, and that I don't know. I hope it's entertaining. I hope it makes you think a little bit. I think I would like for it to be a lot of lot of things. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be just one specific thing that is one-ended. I'd like it to be a variety of many things that are going to make you think, make you just self-aware, and maybe aware of just the things around you. With that said, I would love to just remind everybody, listen, I couldn't do this without the support. So anytime you guys could take the time to maybe leave a comment, Apple iTunes, it's in the realm of podcasting. If you don't know, it's important for the reviews and the comments, and to see that number grow is only, for me personally, validation that what I continue to do here is evolving. That we started off with the inaugural episode. That again, I listened to it the other day, and it's again, you gotta do that to get here. I mean, you're not gonna, I can't believe that I would just at one point get behind the microphone and create a podcast that everybody's gonna want to listen to. I mean, the substance has to be relevant. The substance has to be something that you can relate to, and the idea is, how do you find and target a specific audience? And you know what, quite honestly, guys, I kind of gave up on that. I know, in all the research that I did, it really told you and directed you to just kind of pick a specific age group, maybe your own age group. And for me, I just I thought, again, like creating these invisible barriers for myself. Even when it was something like the podcast, even doing something like this, I've been very clear that I refuse to create any barriers. I almost, I get a lot of suggestions from a lot of people. I don't keep it a secret that I do a podcast. Anybody who knows me knows that I produce a podcast. So for me, it's not out of the ordinary to get suggestions from people, and I always appreciate people's suggestions and comments, and always, and I hope that some of the stuff I can apply it. But then again, there's always the certain comments or certain things that some people might say that I won't lie to you. I get a little defensive about it, because I refuse to think that I need to change anything in aspects to filtering the show or doing things in a way that might not offend someone or might offend some. For me, guys, this is what you're getting is what I am out in the street, and I've made it this far. I've been a manager for a long time. I've managed people. I've had a clear conscience of my surroundings, and I'm pretty confident and certain of who I am, not only as a person, but as a leader and a mentor. So. I've never, again, to think that, people might suggest that I might want to filter certain things. If that's the case, then maybe you don't want to listen to the show. Maybe you might want to move on, and maybe there's a different platform that you might like. I know NPR, they might be a little more your speed, but here at the Bobby Couto Show, I will continue to deliver the message, and regardless of what is popular or not popular, for me, if it's relevant and it's into my logic and fits what I believe to be righteous, I guess, then that's what I'm going to talk about. If I don't think that it's something that I agree with, then I'll let you know. But overall, I think the show being what it is, and the evolution of what it's become today is, I believe, only a product of the comments, the fan base, and the participation from everyone, including the fans, and the guests, in hopes that I continue to just keep growing on this path, and putting these podcasts together. They're never easy per se, but there's certain things I like to do, and one being, I don't know if you're aware, but when I record a podcast, when I sit down and I produce and record a podcast, I record the podcast start to finish. I do the intro, and I've mentioned it, and I know I've mentioned it on the podcast, but if you haven't listened to some of the beginning first podcast, just in case you didn't know, I like to record the podcast in its entirety. I believe that it's very important for the the flow of the message. Again, for me, this is really the idea of sitting down and having a conversation with you, as if you and I were in the same room, or if I was riding shotgun in your car. That's what I want this to be. I want this to be a safe place for all of us, a place that we can share ideas and hopefully maybe stimulate something in your head, right? 2005, guys, right? So what was going on in 2005, right? Let's shift gears a little bit. The cost of living. Listen, the average, this isn't the average cost of a new house is going to run you about $300,000, $297. That's a lot of money. So your average house is about $300,000. That's no joke, and that's about right. That's about right. 2005, you think that your average median income was about $46,000. The cost of gas, $3.18. Whew. Talk about expensive. You go back to these, like episode 18. You know what I mean? I think the price of gas then. You know what I mean? Like jeepers, crazy. 2005, they had the Summer Olympics in Greece. In case you didn't know, you're not going to be honest with you guys. I don't know how I feel about the Olympics. I think that I like curling. You guys like curling? I like curling. I think curling's fun, and I guess if we're winning gold medals, it's always like Michael Phelps. I think is a great thing. But in general, I don't know. I think with all the terrible things happening with the Olympics and everybody's cheating and doping and then of course the allegations of the United States Olympic gymnastics team, not the allegations, the actual proof that doctor that molested those young ladies. Crazy stuff with the Olympics. So I hate to even associate the two, but really it's a really tough one for me to support something like that. But I don't know. You might feel differently. I think it's very important for nations to compete. I think that's always been the great thing about the Olympics. And, it almost seems like the X Games, right? The X Games now, I think that's kind of like the ongoing Winter Olympics. That makes a lot of money. A lot of people doing the whole snow, the snowboarding, skiing, and even the summer events with the motocross. They're doing everything. It's a little bit of everything. So I think it's fantastic. Maybe we go with the X Games and kind of move away from the Olympics. Maybe, I don't know. That's something for you to think about. But just something that I just, again, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the Olympics. You might feel differently. How about Hurricane Katrina, you guys? 2005 was Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina strikes the Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama coastline areas. Levee separated, Lake Pontchartrain. Jeepers, man. You start hearing the stuff and you realize and remember how much of the news we were watching. We were literally fixed to the television set. Like, you were watching the news and finding out what was going on, watching all those people. What a tragedy to see all those people stuck. The Superdome, you know what I mean? Like, they couldn't get out. Like, the horrific stories that people were telling. So unprepared, you know what I mean? You realize that, although we were overseas in other countries, you think the military's prepared, but here in our own country, for something like that to happen, and for FEMA, I wonder, I'll have to check on it, but that might even been the creation, or like the first time we like used FEMA, right? I mean the emergency system, the federal emergency system there, and that was completely botched. They flooded everywhere. 80% of the city of New Orleans was underwater. 1,600 people perished in that. Imagine George Bush was the president. That wasn't good. That wasn't good for anybody. I know that a lot of people died. That affected the whole country, guys. I mean, even in, and at the time, 2005, I believe, I might have even been, trying to think, that was about 14 years ago. I know that shortly after that, around 2005, 2006, when I was in the RV industry, we were seeing a lot. Believe it or not, guys, you might, and if any of you are in the market for an RV, camper RV, there was a lot of these campers. FEMA's solution to a lot of these people being left homeless and displaced was campers. They bought hundreds of thousands of RVs and campers, and they parked them all side by side in these almost like communities, and these things were just completely destroyed. But anyway, I know that they were like doing liquidation buyouts, and these dealers were going down there and buying these campers out, and then just sending them up this way up north, and they were selling them, almost at retail. Just kind of maybe giving them a quick clean, but these things were beat up in pretty rough shape. So if you ever, be careful when you buy these things, because you never know if they're coming from that Louisiana area. I know they did a thing with the cars too. I think cars had an issue. They were selling flooded cars, right? I mean, anything to make a buck. Craziness, right? Craziness. But that was 2005. I mean, that was a lot going on there. I mean, we can get back to that in a minute, but I just want to check on everybody and say, hey, how you doing? I mentioned earlier the kind of shopped out myself, been shopping, hitting all the stores, trying to get the list, trying to get, figure out who's naughty, figure out who's nice, and make sure we don't forget anybody. I just kind of, if you guys have been following on Facebook, I've been posting some videos on Instagram as well, some videos of just kind of the happenings of the Bobby Couto life. And some of that is leading up to the holidays, the shopping. And I went and see my mama today, and she was, baking, getting her dough ready with her sweetbread, and she makes, Portuguese homemade sweetbread that is absolutely phenomenal. She's been approached a couple of times, believe it or not, to sell her recipe to make her sweetbread at a couple of different popular bakeries, and she turned them down. She's like, no, don't want to do it. She's like, I make the sweetbread for my family because I enjoy it, and she gifts it. She doesn't take any money for it. It's just like a passion that she has, labor of love. She puts into it, and it's absolutely, absolutely phenomenal, delicious. And if you haven't had any, not just my mama's, in general, if you guys haven't tried Portuguese sweetbread, to treat yourself. The holidays are here. Go to any Portuguese bakery and just go in there and get yourself a loaf of Portuguese sweetbread, and it's surprise you. Absolutely delicious. I don't know where you live or where you're from, but you should be able to get it. I mean, I would think that you could, because it'd be a shame if you couldn't. Terrible. Maybe what? I'm always looking for excuses to not move out of New England. There you go. There's one of them. I love the food. I love the cuisine. I love the culture. I love everything about it. So, for me, when I smell my mama's sweetbread, I know that Christmas is right around the corner, and it's just a wonderful treat. And speaking of treats, guys, have you been over to Etsy? Go check that out. The store is doing fantastic. Sales are right there, in line. I will tell you that it is really helping with the production end of the podcast. I'm able to. I think actually this month we're going to be able to. I can actually say that we're operating at no cost to myself. The show is self-supporting, which I think is absolutely amazing. It's always been my goal, and I want to continue to just grow the show and keep adding to it. And on the production side, whether it be on the equipment end, sound quality, whatever it may be. I'm actually. Between us in the room, I'm actually eyeing a 27-inch iMac. I think it would be fantastic to add that kind of, just the processing power. Right now I've got the 21-inch iMac, and I love it. And I use a separate monitor like a 23-inch monitor that displays, whatever I want. It's a nice setup. It looks nice. You've probably seen it in the pictures. But I would love to be able to use the 27-inch Mac, and because I only think about the show, and I know I mentioned in the last episode that I wanted to bring in the element of the Facebook Live and broadcasting, broadcasting the show while maybe I have a guest. Let me take a drink. Excuse me, and doing so. Obviously using a lot of computer power, and I won't lie to you guys. I don't want to mess with the quality of the actual recording. And when I'm using the Mac, that's exactly what I'm doing, and I'm just afraid to log into Facebook and then be using the live camera, and I don't want it to interfere with the sound quality of the podcast, whether it be a memory glitch or whatever it may be. So I try to keep everything to a minimum. As when I'm actually recording the podcast, so, but bringing in that other piece of equipment would allow me maybe to do that that kind of simulcast when we have a guest. So again, something I'm working on maybe after the holidays, but just getting through these holidays and making sure that you got everything you need, right? Like I guess Kohl's now is open 24 hours a day, so if you don't make it to the store or just don't want to make it, I mean, cheap as today we went, and it really wasn't intentful to go shopping, but we had to stop by a couple of stores, and on the way back, I'm like, let me just swing in and Dunkin' Donuts real quick and grab a cup of coffee, and I will tell you, man, as soon as I pulled in, the place was just wrapped right around the building with cars, and it's like the middle of the day, you know what I mean? And I know I shouldn't be drinking coffee in the middle of the day, but middle of the day, and the place was just jamming. So everybody's out, and of course every parking spot's taken, and people are all over the place. It's good to see it. I like to see it. It feels good to see everyone out and about, and just shopping. It seems like people are enjoying it. I don't know about you. I mean, wherever Rachel and I go shopping, it's always an experience. I mean, you probably didn't guess it, but I'm quite the pleasantry to shop with. And we're always. I mean, I try to be lighthearted. I try to make the situation lighthearted. And usually there's someone at ear's length away, and you hear people laughing at me. I tend to be a little loud, and I use my hands a lot when I talk. But those are just Portuguese traits. So they are what they are. If you're from the area, you're not surprised by it. You know what I mean? And even my granddaughter, she's so desensitized. People, and it was funny because even growing up, when my mom and I were having a conversation, unless you have Portuguese friends or family, you wouldn't know. But we tend to speak very loudly, and some would almost think that we're arguing or at odds with one another. But the truth and reality is, no, we're absolutely not. And in case you didn't know, the only way that anyone Portuguese can prove a point is usually by being the loudest one in the room. Doesn't mean we're being rude or obnoxious. It's just usually the loudest one in the room is the one that gets heard, and that's usually the Portuguese philosophy. So I hope that you have your plans all set to go for Christmas. I mean, it's right around the corner. Oh, happy Hanukkah, everyone! Happy Hanukkah to all my Jewish fans. You guys got some 8 crazy nights coming up, right? I mean, it's just just amazing time of the year. Again, just watching, my favorite show, guys, Sunday morning, and they were talking about Hanukkah and some of the Jewish traditions, some of the meals, and they always talk about, I don't know, you guys might feel the same way I do, but anytime they talk about the Jewish community, Hanukkah, it always seems like it always ends up like in Brooklyn or New York, and they always kind of feature some of these shops, these restaurants, these kosher shops, and everything looks so delicious. You know what I mean? Like you almost want to take a ride down there and like find these places, and just get in there and just try some of the cuisine, because to have authentic cuisine from, regardless of where it's from, that's a treat, right? Isn't that always a treat? I think it's always a treat. But I was watching that, and it's great to see these traditions. Again, I'm second generation. First generation born here. My kid's a second generation, and we still cherish those traditions. We still do a lot of the things that we used to do when we were younger. And this time of the year, there are some Portuguese cultural experiences that I share with my kids. And it's funny because I say kids, they're both adults, but they're almost used to it. You know what I mean? And this year, I know I mentioned before that we're gonna be doing the whole family thing. We're gonna be visiting uncles and cousins, and I'm excited because you know what? Everybody asks about the podcast, and I love right, and I love to talk about the podcast. So it's a win-win for me. You know what I mean? It's just like I just really enjoy the idea that everyone's listening. You know what I mean? My family's listening, my friends are listening, you're listening. It's amazing. The only thing I did notice though, guys, and I continue to post as much as possible, and I try to get as many links to the podcast out there. If you guys have noticed, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Podcast, Podcaster. You name it. Every single Anchor, Podbean. You name it. Literally, the Bobby Couto Show is available on every single one of those platforms. But I never know really who's listening on what platform. I get some stats on the show, which is pretty cool. It tells me where people are listening, and I can actually see where people are listening from, but it's tough to determine what platforms they're using. It kind of gives me a broad kind of spectrum on that. But overall, I try to make it available. The point I'm trying to make here is I try to make it as easily available for everyone as much as possible. So it's kind of just at your fingertips, and I hope that I'm making it easy for you to get to the show. Ultimately, the last thing I want to do is have anyone have any trouble getting to the show and to the podcast, because I want to make it easy accessible. And of course, outside of making the show sound fantastic, I want you guys to be able to get to it, right? Crazy stuff. I gotta, I'm kind of, let me just get this out of the way. I got a little sad news. This today, I mentioned before that I every Sunday I go see my mom. I make it a point once a week to go see her, just check in, make sure everything's okay. To physically see her is one thing to talk on the phone. But anyway, long story short, I went to go see her today, and turns out that my great aunt of a young 100 years passed away this morning at 4:00 in the morning. So that in itself is a tragedy for the family. As we age, as we get older, that older generation is dying off, and we all obviously celebrate the new life, but we always grieve the ones that we lose. But my aunt Camille, I met her. Funny, I met her. I was probably 14 years old when I met her for the first time. And the real important part of all this in my life really is the fact that without her, I wouldn't be here. The motto of the show, all the roads lead here. And because of her, I was led here where I am today. She was the first to immigrate from Portugal to the United States in my family. And when she came here, she moved to New Jersey. It's where she landed. I know I mentioned in the past, New York, New Jersey, a lot of the immigrants are coming in, and she landed there, got an apartment, got a job, and right away was able to send for a visa. And by doing so, one by one, she was able to get, my mom over, my grandfather, my grandmother, And then at that point, and it's not any different now than it was then. But I knew then you could get a work visa. So as long as you could get a job and you could hold a job for a little while, he'd give you the paperwork and you could apply for a work visa. And if you had a work visa, then you could actually request, to bring someone over. But I know the laws were very clear that you couldn't just come over here with no intent. Like you had to. They wanted to know you had a place to go, that you had somebody that was going to take care of you. You know what I mean? So, she did do that. So, because of my aunt, they were all able to come over, and then we, my it's funny, I was talking to my mom about it today. My grandfather took a ride and ended up in Fall River, Massachusetts from New Jersey, and somehow found the house that that I always remember that I grew up in, down in South Main Street. And the rest is history. Here we are. Here I am. I got my family here, and my mom is still in the city. She loves it there. But I guess the story here. I always I'm always preaching to you guys legacy and what does it mean and. What's it all mean when that time comes? And, for me, I'm almost, I'm a little embarrassed almost, like I said, I mentioned, I met my aunt back when I was 14 years old. And she lived in Virginia and, because she lived in Virginia, I really didn't have a lot of, contact with her back and forth. And, from what I understand, she had a lot of pets. So she had a tough time leaving her pets. I know that they tried to get her to move up here and to be in Massachusetts, but she had her husband. Her maiden name was Furtado, her married name Schreiber, and she obviously didn't want to leave her husband and the family, so she stayed in Virginia. And before you know it, you have intents and plans, but you end up planting your roots, and again, like I mentioned you guys before, life kind of gets ahead of you sometimes, and the next thing you know. She's kind of living in Virginia and with no intent of ever leaving, although she really, got displaced from her family, which is a shame. So, the years go on, the years pass, and she ages and ages and ages, and somewhere along that time, she, I guess, meets someone, has a relationship with this individual, and this individual pretty much took her for everything she had. To be honest with you guys, I don't know, financially what she owned, but I know that her last few years were, living in a trailer with a friend or a caretaker that, was pretty much collecting the Social Security check and, just tending to her needs. So, how does that happen? And the worst part about that is the last time I heard about her, and my mom was talking to her regularly and her caretaker regularly, so she was kind of in touch with her. But her passing away, it really makes you realize the deficiency in her life, in the sense of the lack of family, the lack of people around her that are family, and it turns out there was no family. My mom received a phone call from the funeral parlor today, who was kind enough to just call her and say, "Hey, listen, we're gonna wait this out until after the holidays and see, what the state will cover as far as estates, and the state will always kick something in, Social Security will kick something in, but the plan will be, her wish was." To be cremated. I ended up calling the funeral home because of my concern. The idea that, I have a family member out there that would be cremated and then just kind of put in an empty plot somewhere, was very disturbing to me. I didn't like the sound of that. So I called him and spoke to the gentleman, Jimmy, who was fantastic. And we're gonna work it out. We're gonna get her here, and we're gonna give her a proper burial, like she deserves, as a proud family member, surrounded by her family and the people that love her. Very unfortunate that we couldn't appreciate her life while she was here with us. But, we will at least give her a proper burial and put her to rest with my grandmother and my grandfather. I just, again, the only reason I even bring this up, guys, I mean, I don't want to bring anybody down, but, the issue is how do you get to that point, right? I mean, how does that happen? At what point, if you wait long enough, does that happen? Do you end up alone and being taken care of by someone? And do you live 100 years? I mean, a solid 100 years to just one day just fade away, and then no one knows what they're going to do with you. They don't know if you have any family. They don't know if you have anyone that that could tend to your assets. I mean, it's very sad to me. It bothered me today. It put things in perspective for me. Again, you think that you know your whole family and you know everything that's going on. But I mean, here's a perfect example. This is my great aunt. This is my grandmother's sister, who lived to be 100 years old. And, I have to be honest with you guys, the last few, or maybe more than few years of her life were probably less than great. And quite honest with you, I think that they should have been. I think that the fact that, here we are finding out that her passing happened this morning and we really didn't know anything about it, or anyone didn't even know that she had any family. The only number that they had were my mom's, and that was because my mom was checking on her periodically. So, again, a little perspective for you, and I'll keep you tuned on that one. I know that they offered to post cremations, to ship her here, but I got to be honest with you guys. I don't know how I feel about shipping my aunt via UPS or FedEx. I honestly believe that I will be driving to Virginia to go pick her up and bring her back, and just with some dignity. I don't know that I want my aunt getting shipped via UPS overnight. But I mean, hey, you know what? You might feel differently. Me personally, I think we're gonna go to the trouble of giving her a proper burial, then I would imagine we don't want to ship her UPS. So, I just wanted to take a moment and, I know I mentioned before, guys, in the past that, I've always believed that you die twice. The day you physically die, and then the last time someone says your name. So I don't want that to happen to my aunt. I will remember her. Like I said, I remember going back when I was 14 when I met her. She had come to visit for the summer, and she had brought her neighbor, her neighbor's daughter. For the life of me, I can't remember her name, but she was also 14 years old, and she was quite the Southern belle. And I will tell you, it was although very short time. My aunt was here for about 2 weeks. It was a great summer, and I remember that summer with her and how much fun that was, and going to my grandma's and seeing her. And my aunt was always a positive memory associated with that summer. So, I just wanted to remember that. I thought that was great. So for me, that's when I think of my aunt, I think of that great time when she came and visit, and she brought that Southern belle with her. So I got to remember her name. You know what? I promise you guys, I'll find out who her name or what her name is, and I will let you know. But I'm gonna have to drive to Virginia. I put it on the map. It was like 10 hours away, but it's worth the ride. I think it's worth the ride, and maybe we'll take some selfies and make it an adventure on the way back. Maybe Rachel and I kind of go on a road trip and see if we can do it in a couple of days. But either way, you know what? Just for me, it's another adventure, right? I mean, we never turn our back on family, right, guys? Like, to me, that's rule number one, right? No matter what, you never turn your back on family. And here's one of those perfect examples that you just can't, I just can't ignore. So, be on the lookout for that, guys. Road trip coming up. You know what I mean? The Bobby Couto Show is going on a road trip. Who knows? Maybe we'll record. Maybe we'll record right from the vehicle. I don't know. Maybe we'll do that. But I just wanted to say that, guys. I mean, again, I hate to bring up sad news and talk about sad things, but I'd like to celebrate her 100 years of life, and just remember that, even though I almost feel like she might have been forgotten, I'd like to remember her, and I'd like to say thank you to her for me being here. I love my life. And in case you haven't noticed, guys, I absolutely love being from Boston. I love being here. I love being a Bostonian. I love being in New England. I love everything about it. I love the culture. I love the people. I will most likely live out my life here. I know there's always dreams and aspirations of vacationing and maybe getting some vacation property somewhere else, but my roots will always be here in New England. So I hope that she knows how much I appreciate her. So that, let's move on, guys. Again, I just want to say thank you, everybody, to kind of for going through that with me. It hit me today, and I'm sad about it. I'm a little sad about it. I won't lie to you, a little sad about it. I always feel like there might have been something. I don't know. Is there something you can do? Maybe not. I don't know. But I could tell you what. If you were McChillin in 2005, then you were really happy and excited that Microsoft was releasing the Xbox 360 game console. I mean, right? I mean, how monumental was that, guys? Literally changed the video game industry, right? Because you had the PlayStation, then you had the PlayStation 2, and then the Xbox 360 came out. And it was just, since then, it has been like the juggernaut of platform video gaming. I mentioned it before. Not that I pretend to be like a professional about it, but what I do know is, aside from PC gaming, Xbox, PlayStation continue to be, these huge financial giants. I mean, the money that the video game industry is making, they say the music and movie industry combined still can't get close to what the video game industry is bringing in. So keep your eyes on that. 2005. I mean, we're talking 14 years ago, and I love when we talk about these things, because you almost lose the sense, but technology moves so quickly, doesn't it? Like, it's amazing the evolution of how quickly the technology moves. And you go back to the Xbox 360, man, I logged in some serious hours playing some Ghost Recon on that stuff. And anybody, if you guys are out there, and you guys, Dave, you played. I've mentioned it before. We've spent so many hours, man. And I just think that, again, you look at the Xbox 360, and when they released that, that was just that was just fantastic. You know what I mean? And even Steve Jobs with Apple commented that Apple wasn't even going to go into the arena of video games because of the success with the Xbox, and claimed that anybody who did would be a fool. But you knew that PlayStation, Sony already had a foot in the game with the PlayStation, and they were doing amazing. So, and now keep in mind, both the PlayStation, both Sony and Microsoft pretty much almost took out, Nintendo. Nintendo almost became the kiddie kind of, the kiddie platform. You know what I mean? And then the Wii came out. If it was kind of, based on your, your health, and you wanted to do certain was it the Wii Fit? Is that what it was? I mean, it just, some of those things just never worked right. But you know what? I will tell you, I more than one time had a good time playing like tennis and bowling. With the little Wii people, right? That was fun, right? That was always fun. I thought that was fun, right? In case you guys didn't know, YouTube, right? 2005, the video sharing website YouTube was founded. The popular video game sharing website YouTube was created by Chad Hurley and Steve Chen and Jod Kerman. During the February of 2005, the three creators were all former PayPal employees, right? Elon Musk. And came up with the concept to create a platform on which it would be easier to share videos with others over the internet in a style similar to popular photo sharing sites at the time. YouTube quickly gained popularity as users began to upload and share videos on the site in record numbers. In 2006, search engine Google purchased the company for $1.6 $1.65 billion in Google stock. Today, billions of the videos are uploaded and watched by millions of users. There are people, I mean, you know what, guys? You talk about revolutionary. I mean, there are literally people on YouTube, and that's their job, right? I mean, there are people on YouTube, and that's their job. And what amazes me about YouTube is that, you know, there are people out there that put, like, you know, ridiculous amounts of time and hours into production, and they put these really great pieces together. But then again, there's like the average Joe, right, who just happens to catch a video of a mouse or a rat carrying a slice of pizza down the New York subway, and the thing is just like a gazillion hits, and you know what I mean? It's almost like, you know, you're scratching a lottery ticket, you know what I mean? And you end up getting a couple of million views, and the next thing you know, you're getting paid for videos. So, you know, a lot of came out of YouTube. I mean, even now, the growth and the evolution of YouTube is absolutely amazing. Right? I mean, you got YouTube Red. I know that. We subscribe to the whole YouTube package. You know, I get the YouTube, the Google package, so I get the YouTube and everything included. And I tell you that YouTube is absolutely fantastic. We use it a lot, and even, you know, for the show, I do have. There is the Bobby Couto Show YouTube channel. I haven't gotten to the point where we're using it yet, or I'm using it yet. Maybe I will. Maybe that's something that I'll consider. I will tell you that on my Christmas list, I hope you guys did your Christmas lists. I did mine, and on my Christmas list to Santa was a webcam. Yeah, HD, 1080p, 4K. That's what I'm hoping for, and I hope if I do get it, then maybe I can do the recordings and then maybe post them to YouTube so you guys can not only listen to the show but also watch the show. I would maybe kind of, again, guys, I never want to do anything to jeopardize the flow and popularity of the podcast. So whatever I do would always be to, preserve that first. You know, I want the podcast to be preserved in what it is, and that is the vocal element of it, is me getting on here, you know, behind the microphone, and I love the listen element. I love the visual in the show is what you create. When I'm telling you guys a story, or I'm telling you guys about an experience, I know that you are creating these amazing environments with your imagination and in your mind. And I never want to, going back to talking about music and videos, same idea. I would never want to pollute or interfere with your personal space, and I think that is your personal space. And every time, I could tell a story, and if one of the 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000 listeners, of all of them, each one of them could have their own, or would have. I mean, I could say with confidence, would have their own custom environment to whatever the story or whatever the message is, right? I mean, and that's I think that's so important to the show. But again, I'm all about the technology. I know that I have to exhaust every single manner of social media, because I mean everybody is, and if I don't, someone else is gonna. And some people love the YouTube, and they're always watching on YouTube. So I want to be available on YouTube. Some people love Apple and want to be on iTunes, so I need to be on iTunes, and so on and so forth. And some people like Spotify, some people like Pandora. So for me, it's like I want to be available on all those platforms, but at what expense and at what cost? And that's what I'm not willing to sacrifice, and I'm not willing to sacrifice the core element of what the show is, and that's this. It's us, it's me and you, talking about some of these monumental events in time, and how they apply to us. You know what I mean? Like, I know you guys must be tired. Again, crazy week. Listen, I just want to put everybody on warning real quick. I'd like to continue on and talking about 2005, but today, watching the news, And I really try to limit the amount of news that I take in, because I never want. I'm tired of being angry. I'm tired of being mad. It seems like every time I watch the news long enough, I can watch it long enough to get me upset and actually make me angry. So I try to avoid that at all costs. But I need to be in touch. I need to figure out what's going on. And even in today, and I'm watching this thing, and I hate to even bring it up again, but the whole impeachment thing, and now how Nancy Pelosi is withholding the 2 articles and not submitting them, and this whole thing back and forth. If you don't know, it continues to be this idea that she's going to do whatever she wants, and she's going to. The president responds, and they're getting mad, and he's whatever it is. The bottom line is, it's in the middle of the holidays, it's in the middle of Christmas, it's in the middle of everything we're doing, and it's so distracting. But by the same token, it's exactly what it's supposed to be, guys. There is some legislation that is being passed in the background right now that I think that everyone needs to go take a look at. If you haven't heard, I want to say it's like $1.4 trillion bill that's got some ridiculous earmarks in there, and some lobbyist listen, just if you guys haven't had a chance, go on there, go take a look, and read up on this stuff. But because this is what they do. And again, I hate to keep bringing it up, and I love to put everybody on warning when I think something's going on. And this is one of those times. Again, this whole impeachment thing, look over here, pay attention over here. Meanwhile, over here, is where really all the cartons of cigarettes are going out the back trailer. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole idea. And one of these things is going on right now. They got they got the whole country divided and consumed by an impeachment that won't even take place. This is going to go to a vote. They're going to do a trial, and they're going to find no findings. And Trump's going to get off, and that'll be the end of it. And Nancy Pelosi will, she'll ride her broom into the sunset, and we'll never hear from her again. And Schumer and all them, it's just they're going to be irrelevant to all of us. They'll continue to make the money that they're making. They'll continue to get all the best health benefits, right? The best health plans. They got everything, and with no term limits. They're there as long as they want to be, because we allow them to be, and that's just going to continue to happen. But really, just guys and ladies, please just pay attention, and don't fall just don't fall. I mean, it's all smoke and mirrors. And these things always happen. They do. They continue to happen because they don't want you to pay attention to what's really going on. And we'll continue to talk about the impeachment, and you'll turn on the news, and that's all they'll be talking about for the next foreseeable 3 months, 4 months. I mean, it'll be summertime, and we'll still be talking about this bullshit. And you know what? It's what they want. Again, it's exactly what they want. It's the way they work it. And we're all just pawns in this ridiculous game that they play. But you know what, guys? We don't have to fall for it, and we don't have to buy into it. What? The world, we're in a good place. We're in a good, somebody actually said, what? It is another thing. They were talking on the news, and somebody said, "Oh, Trump is going to invite Vladimir Putin to the White House." Yeah, what's wrong with that? Please explain to me what's wrong with that. I mean, Russia is one of America's biggest adversaries. Really? So are you saying that the two superpowers of the world shouldn't get along? Like, don't you think that we live in a world now where that's an absolute necessity? The idea of nuclear arsenal and nuclear proliferation, that idea has to go away. We can't live in that world anymore. The idea that you think you can control people by telling them that you're going to blow up the world is absolutely insane. It doesn't make any sense. Nobody's buying into it anymore. And, the Kim Jong-uns of the world that are trying to develop nuclear missiles, I mean, you know what? They want the attention. They want people to pay attention to them. My personal opinion on that is at some point North Korea is going to join the world. You know what I mean? They're gonna come out of that. They're going to join the world, and it only makes sense that it happens sooner than later. You know, we need as a nation, we need to start thinking differently, and thinking outside of the same old thought processes, and thinking that things are going to change, because they're not going to change. They're not going to change. They're going to continue to do what they're doing. The news is going to continue to say what it's saying, and we're just going to go another generation deep into this bullshit that continues to just waste money for everybody. But what do? I said it in the last one. I said it in 18. I said, is it a sign? Do you go hold a sign somewhere and say, enough is enough? We don't want to put up with, like, what is it that you do? I mean, I don't know. They tell me that if I don't recycle, right, every one person, combined, make it, everybody together makes a difference, right? But it takes one person at a time. Okay, I'm all about that, right? But how do I make an impact? How do I make a difference? I can come on here and I can tell you guys how I feel, and I can say, hey, listen, I happen to notice this, and hey, be careful over here, and hey, listen, I see this over here. But ultimately, how does that change anything? How does that make your life better? How do you change a direction of something that you're not controlling, right? I mean, is it voting? Is that I mean, is that what it is? Because if that's what it is, then I'm not even sure that I'm buying into that idea, right? Because they make their own rules. Everything I hear, like they talk. Even if you watch this whole impeachment thing, they can call witnesses. Nope, they said that they ruled that they're not going to call. They're not going to call witnesses. And how do you do that? Like, how do the rules change? How does the Speaker of the House have the power to do whatever they want to do and say, yeah, we're going to have witnesses? No, we're not going to have witnesses. Yes, you are indicted. No, you're not. I don't know. I don't understand it. And I can't imagine that any of you understand it. I mean, and if you do, I mean, you got to be a political scholar, right? I mean, you would have to be, going to law school, and not just law school, like political law, right? Because that's different, to understand how these people just kind of make up their own rules as they go. They do whatever suits their right, like just whatever their agenda is. I don't know. And again, if you guys aren't as frustrated as I am with it, I mean, please say something, because to me, I'm absolutely frustrated with it, and to me, it doesn't make any sense. And I don't want to bring down the whole podcast about it and keep talking about it, but I just wanted to get that out there and air it out. I mean, if you guys notice something, see something that I don't see, let me know. But if there's a way to change it, I'm in. Like, where do I sign? You know what I mean? Is it signing something? Because that's what I'll do, right? I mean, do the best I can. Cheapest. What are you gonna do? Let's talk about movies. Let's talk about movies. I like talking about movies. 2005. How about you know what? Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. What'd you think of Harry Potter, you guys? They say that people that read the books and then watched the movies had a better experience. I gotta be honest with you. You see the size of those books, and I just don't know that I was ever that committed. You might have been. People were buying that books. They made a fortune. That whole Harry Potter Universal owns the Harry Potter franchise, and they just a whole theme park and Universal, and make it $1 gazillion. And then they came up with what, like 6 Harry Potters, 7 Harry Potters? I wonder. I don't. I should know that. I didn't even check. Star Wars 3, Revenge of the Sith, right? That was the first one, right? I would imagine. I think that's the first one that Revenge of the Sith. Wasn't that the first one that kind of like came back with the new ones? I believe it was. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it was. Bringing back the whole Star Wars, because I mean, for a very, very long time there was no Star Wars, and then now once a week there's a new Star Wars. I mean, George Lucas. Boy, he knows how to market, doesn't he? Like, the guy can sell anything. And even now with this whole Mandalorian and the Baby Yoda. Listen, spoiler alert, in case you guys didn't know, I thought it was. That's not Baby Yoda. That's not. It is. It's a Yoda, not the Yoda. I'm not quite sure what that race of alien is called, but it is a baby kind of Yoda, but it's not Yoda, all right? So if you're watching the show, if you haven't watched the show, if you're going to watch the show thinking you were going to get something special out of it, I thought that was Baby Yoda, and I thought it was going to be cool, but it's not. But I know I probably will still watch that because I think it looks really cool, and I like sci-fi. I'm a sci-fi kind of guy. I like it. The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Remember that came out? That was, again, one of those fantasy books. If you were into it, you were into it. Me personally, not my cup of tea. War of the Worlds. Huh? Was that not fantastic? I thought it was absolutely fantastic, right? I mean, it was, Tom Cruise was in that, fantastic. I thought they did a great job with it. Again, remake, but it was a remake that even now, if it's on one of those late night movies, maybe a movie you might want to fall asleep to, it's just one of those great movies that, I really enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed it too. King Kong came out. I think that was the one with Joe Black. I'm not a fan of his, guys. I'll be honest. It is. Maybe the School of Rock I thought was pretty cool with the kids there. But then, I don't know, like he's always the same character in every movie he plays. I mean, he might have been a little better in King Kong, but still kind of not my favorite. But the movie was all right. The movie was okay. How many times can you tell the King Kong story, right? I mean, the gorilla giant climbed. I mean, right? I mean, Jurassic Park brought a dinosaur to New York, right? A T-Rex. What the hell, right? I mean, what's cooler than that? Madagascar was on. That was okay. Chris Rock. Yeah, right? There was a couple of films. Yeah, that was okay. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, that did really well. And, of course, with all the controversy with Jennifer Aniston and Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, that was the movie where you pretty much knew that Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie were knocking boots, And poor Jennifer Aniston. Poor Jennifer, right? Poor Jen. Brad Pitt, you bastard, right? Poor thing. But anyway, I watched Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I thought it was good. A little overdrawn. The whole thing, kind of hard to believe. In real life, they probably would have lasted 5 minutes and been shot and dead. But in the movie, they lasted the whole thing. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Creepy, creepazoid, stranger danger, Johnny Depp. Shame on you. I am a huge fan of Johnny Depp. I like Johnny Depp. I mean, he's had a couple of questionable movies out there that the book, like there's just a couple of them out there, but I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean, Jack Sparrow, fantastic, right? I mean, no one else could have done it better. You know what? And if I'm ever going to remember Johnny Depp, I'm going to remember him for that because I thought he was just absolutely fantastic. One of those actors that just completely consumes himself. But I know for a fact that he was doing a movie locally in Boston, and I happen to know a couple of people that were in the RV industry and doing like RV repairs and things of that nature. And his trailer had broken down when they were filming the movie in Boston. The movie escapes me, but it was him, and it was in Boston. And I know this individual, when they went to go service his camper, apparently, here's some inside information, right? You're not gonna hear this anywhere else. You're gonna hear it only here in the Bobby Couto Show. Apparently, Johnny Depp travels with some weird chair. It's kind of almost like a throne, and it's a throne that he sits in, and I guess he smokes his ganja in, right? So it's like his throne. Well, good for him. And he got a lamp too. It is a lamp. How weird is that? But everywhere he goes, I guess he travels with this throne and this lamp wherever he goes because it's got some spiritual, some type of some type of spiritual energy that helps him. I don't know. Whatever it is, good for you, Johnny Depp. I'm glad you can afford to have a throne shipped around with you. So there you go. Some inside information about Johnny Depp. How about Batman Begins, guys? Fantastic, right? Batman Begins. That one there was with the Christian Bale. Was Bruce Wayne, right? Michael Caine, man, he's just good. Liam Neeson, right? Katie Holmes. Yeah, man, some pretty big heavy hitters in that. That was just a great beginning to that whole Dark Knight series. If you're a Batman fan, which I am, I tell you what, out of all of them, I'll be honest with you, that's my favorite. I enjoy the Dark Knight series. Don't get me wrong, I like the comic end of it. I enjoy the Tim Burton thing, but this version, the Batman Begins, just fantastic. And then of course with Heath Ledger as the Joker, I mean, just phenomenal, phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. I believe the character. For once, Batman is portrayed in a manner that is not that of a superhuman. You never lose the idea that he's still a man who just literally just trains and focuses his mind for the greater good. You know what I mean? So fantastic in that series, Batman Begins. If you haven't had a chance to watch that, please do so. Watch all three. They are fantastic. Hitch, Will Smith. If you guys are Will Smith fans, and Kevin James, that was all right. And then Crash. They made a big deal about that. Remember Crash? They made a big deal how it was all segmented out. It was almost kind of Quentin Tarantino-esque. I would imagine kind of that kind of genre where it was start, beginning, end, this lead into this, and again, what is it? The chain reaction of events that leads to the it was kind of predictable, wasn't it? It was all right. How about I know you guys remember this one, Brokeback Mountain, right? How big was that movie? Say what you want, man. People were talking about it. That was, and there you go. That's twice in one podcast, Heath Ledger. That was with Jake Gyllenhaal. They did that movie, and that was like the first time you had that kind of male kiss on the movie theater. They were talking about it. Must see. Movie made a ridiculous amount of money. Good for them. You know what, guys? I'll be honest with you. I never watched it. Right? Does that make me a bad person? Maybe I will. Maybe no reason. Just one of those movies I never had a chance to watch. But I do remember the hype. There was a lot of hype about it. How about Walk the Line? Jacqueline Phoenix as Johnny Cash and Reese Witherspoon as June Carter. They sang all the vocals in that. I thought they did a fantastic job. I will tell you. I know I've mentioned to you guys in the past. Johnny Cash has a special place in my heart. My old man, my dad, big drinker. And I know I've told the story before in the past. Sitting in the living room, passed out, and he had the Ring of Fire, that album, just the LP, the record, and he had it playing, and put a ring of fire, and he played it over and over again. I mean, I remember that, and and like the character Johnny Cash. The artist, rest in peace, Johnny. Yeah, right. So that was that's my memory with Johnny Cash. Is my old man shit faced on the floor listening to that on a record. I know, right? Little dark, yeah. Oh boy, yeah. You know what? We'll leave that one for the therapist, right? Popular musicians. Let's talk about that, you guys. I know I love music. You guys love music. Mariah Carey, Green Day. I told you guys how I feel about Green Day. 50 Cent, right? How about 50 Cent, you guys? Self-made, right? Guy gets shot 10 times, survives, ends up hooking up with Dr. Dre, makes a fortune for himself. They say he single-handedly saved West Coast rap. That's what they say. I don't know who they is, but that's what they say. I gotta be honest with you, I kind of believe him. 50 Cent came out. I remember Dave, shout out Dave Correa. I remember the first time I heard 50 Cent was in his Jeep when we had the store. I remember he got that album, he popped it in, and I will tell you, when I first heard it, I thought it was a little much for me, but hook, line, and sinker, right? I mean, I love 50 Cent. You name it, put it on, I'll listen to it. I love it. I think it's great. I think if you know about 50 Cent, you know about his struggle, it makes it all that much better. He bought vitamin water. And then ended up selling vitamin water to Coca-Cola. Made $1 gazillion. Kelly Clarkson. Forgive me, guys. I cannot do Kelly Clarkson. I cannot stand. God, Kelly Clarkson. I know she won American Idol, and good for her, and that's great, and that's wonderful. But what a yenta, right? I mean, at the end of the day, everything sounds the same. Black Eyed Peas with Fergie, right? Black Eyed Peas, they were huge guys, right? Black Eyed Peas was everywhere. If it was New Year's, it was Black Eyed Peas. If it was Christmas, it was Black Eyed Peas. If it was Thanksgiving, everything was Black Eyed Peas. They were on the radio constantly. Good for them. Now they kind of like fell off the planet. But I know that even will.i.am, I don't know about Fergie, but I know will.i.am, he still produces a lot of music, still doing this thing. And he's on television a lot. He does a lot of stuff with West Coast Customs. Ryan over there. Fantastic work those guys do. How about Coldplay? You guys like Coldplay? I like Coldplay. A little bit of Rascal Flatts. Guys, can I be honest with you about Rascal Flatts? When they first came out, right? That whole country music, country music was getting big. I thought they sounded different. I'm like, wow, they sound different. They sound cool. And there was a little bit of humble in their music, but then they got real big real quick, and I don't like any of it now. I really don't. I think it's all it's part of that that music, the Futureka cycle for music. You just kind of pushing a couple of buttons and a bunch of shit comes out. Yeah. Gwen Stefani, right? She was popular, right? She did all right, no doubt. There was a couple of songs she was real popular. She was married to his name escapes me, but from Bush, right? The band Bush. And they already married together, had kids, did great, and now I think she's with Blake Shelton, right? Like, there's an odd couple for you, right? They do the TV show there, and they fell in love. The Killers, Kenny Chesney, right? 2005, and then Keith Urban. I like a little bit of Keith Urban. You don't like Keith Urban? He ended up marrying Nicole Kidman, right? There's a talk about an odd couple. And they look great together. Good for them. Carrie Underwood, Faith Hill, Sugarland. They're not even together anymore. Toby Keith, Eminem, who continues to be a force. Dave Matthews Band, right? I was almost tempted, guys. I was almost going to do Dave Matthews Band for the opening of this podcast, and I've been just kind of looking for a reason to put them in there. I'll tell you what. The whole Dave Matthews Band era, if anybody remembers, fantastic, right? Like, they were in the the 2000s. Sounded fantastic. A lot of like college kind of music. They did a lot of tours with the colleges, but just a different sound. And truly, when I think of musicians, in the sense of musicians, there are a few people that come to mind, like Peter Gabriel, like people that I almost think like borderline, like Prince, people that are like musical genius. I would say that Dave Matthews Band, I would say like musical geniuses, man. The way the riffs and notes and musical composition that these guys put together is absolutely phenomenal. It's amazing. And if you ever have a chance, Dave Matthews Band, Ants on Parade, like you name it, you put it on, just let it play. Great music, especially this time of the year. If you're looking for some nice, relaxing music, some good feel-good music, Dave Matthews Band would do it for you. Gretchen Wilson, she's all right, kind of hokey, right? You know what I mean? The whole wall machine thing, kind of, yeah, right? Like, hey, I'm Trailer Park, right? She kind of rode that train. Usher was real popular, did real well. Foo Fighters, who didn't love the Foo Fighters? You know what I mean? Of course, the baby child of Nirvana. Hilary Duff, Madonna, Shania Twain. Weezer, Destiny's Child, right? With Beyonce. Guns N' Roses, guys. Guns N' Roses was still out there. Imagine that. Funny. Good stuff. So that's music, guys. That's pretty much the music. What'd you think? I thought that was a nice list of music. TV shows, real quick. Let's talk about them real quick. And I realized that I didn't even like. Carrie Underwood was on that list. And of course Kelly Clarkson, and of course you would realize that the shows that were on then, even top 10, just real quick, want to do top 10 shows that were on this is ratings in 2005, just based on ratings alone. It was Survivor on CBS, number 9. Monday Night Football was actually the number 9 show on television. Number 8, CSI Miami with Hiroshio. Number 7, guys, Dancing with the Stars. Wow, they had a 12 share in the ratings. Without a Trace was number 6, 12.3. And number 5 was Grey's Anatomy with a 12.5. Desperate Housewives was number 4. Really? Did you guys watch Desperate Housewives? I didn't. And of course, the original CSI Crime Scene Investigation. That is a 15.6 share. And that was a great show. You know, my biggest problem with CSI was no closure. Right? Great show. I think they do a great job putting it together. The whole idea of, finding the evidence and a lot of that stuff, again, was, it's a TV show because a lot of us didn't know about DNA evidence. And, I think it was always fascinating that, you were able to catch somebody. I mean, today, right? Like, you don't even need DNA. There's so many cameras, no matter where you go, no matter where you are, like, you cannot leave the house and go anywhere without being on somebody's camera. Like you're getting caught on camera somewhere. Somebody's videoing you somewhere. So you don't even need DNA. I mean, just get rid of it because no matter where you go, they're gonna know where you are. So you can't deny it. You can't lie. I mean, even when you're driving down the road, guys, and you think you're going up to the mountains and you're going up north, right? Well, guess what? You got an easy pass. You got an easy pass transponder on your windshield, right? So as you go through those tolls, they know exactly where you are. They know exactly where you. There's no hiding anymore. But you know what? Back to 2005, CSI. That was like the beginning of that stuff. That was fantastic to see that they could use all these different methods and means to solve some of these crimes, which was really cool. But my biggest problem was there was never any closure. Right? Think about it. Any CSI you watch, you never know. You never know what happens to the criminal. You know that they catch the person, but they don't really get prosecuted. So then that would have been a great TV show. Like right after CSI, right after Crime Scene Investigation, you do like CSC, Crime Scene Court, right? And it would be the court, the whole, right? How cool would that be? You go through the whole proceedings of the investigation, that what they found on CSI. That would have been a great show. I'm onto something. Somebody get CBS on the phone. Number 2 and number 1, amazing, right? Because the same show occupied both spots, and it was on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and that was American Idol. American Idol took a 17.6 and a 17.2 on Tuesdays and Wednesdays as the number 1 ranked TV shows of 2005. Go see that. I mean, you know what? I will tell you guys, American Idol was huge. We watched it. I watched it. My whole family watched it. Like, we were just absolutely glued to the TV. Some other TV shows that were on that list. I mean, we could sit here. There's the top 100, but like 2.5 Men, Deal and No Deal with Howie Mandel. That was really cool, right? With all the models and the suitcases, right? What a big deal that was. Let's see. ER was still there. And that was pretty much it. 24. That is another show. You know what? That was something I never got into either. A lot of people watched it, loved it, with Keith Sunderland. 24. I just never got into it. I didn't like it. But yeah, so that was pretty much it in 2005, guys. That was what was going on. I just wanted to get this podcast to you guys today and just say hello. Just reach out to everybody and say hello. I know I checked on you guys on the last one, and I'm sure you guys are all okay now. I know that this is kind of like the home stretch for the holidays, getting those last minute packages, getting those last minute plans. If anybody's traveling, I'm sure you guys are getting ready to go. Sunday today, tomorrow's Monday. You guys are probably listening. It's probably Monday. And you guys are getting ready to start celebrating. And that really, I just kind of wanted to go out with that and just really discuss just a couple of things to just keep on your agenda. And one of those, again, I not to reiterate and not to repeat myself, but just remember, take care of you. Making sure that you're getting what you need. This time of the year we tend to work a little later, maybe spend a little more time than we should doing certain things just to kind of prepare in preparation of those big days. But what good are you if you're run down and you're sick and you can't enjoy that time with your family? I've been making it an absolute point to double down on the hand sanitizer. I've been doing my vitamin C tablets, my gummies, I should say. Making sure I'm getting my fair share of immunity, whatever I can do to prevent getting sick. If you guys haven't got your flu shots yet, they say there's still time. Just to go do it. Go get it done, especially now, especially with the holidays, all the kissing and hugging and helloing that's going to be going on, right? Just the transactions alone, handing people your credit card, getting it back, your debit card, getting it back. Typically, people aren't washing their hands constantly. So imagine how many germs are on your debit card, right? But you know what? That's my OCD. That always bothers me. And if I can always try to make it, if I can do the transaction, which, I mentioned the other day that I used my watch. If I can do a transaction without having to touch something or a keypad or a key pen, I'm going to do that, right? Just try to avoid getting sick. Who wants to get sick, especially now with Christmas right around the corner and the New Year's, right? Because that's what we're all working for, right? We're looking forward to New Year's and celebrating, having some drinks, some food, maybe having a little more than we should, laughing, giggling, right? I can't wait for that. I love it. Guys, so listen, if I haven't mentioned it enough, I'll mention it again. Get over to Twitter, get over to Instagram, get over to Facebook, show your support for the show. I really appreciate it. I always love it when you guys go over there and leave me a comment or a like. I'm constantly in there trying to come up with new ways to promote and stimulate growth in the show. I'm always soliciting from you guys, ideas, opinions, and just wholehearted comments. If you guys have a minute and you want to just drop me a line and tell me what you think of the show, how it's going. I didn't want to get into too many things today. Again, like I said, I just wanted a nice lighthearted show. A couple of comments there. Mentioned my aunt and how that went. And just talking about just a little bit of the current events. Did anybody? Has anyone told you how cold it is? If you're not living in New England, you wouldn't know it. But man, it is freezing. I think this week, they were saying on Thursday it was like 16 degrees. With the wind chill, it's below zero. It's cold, man, and it's like it's not tough enough. You're out there, you're shopping, you're carrying all these bags and your hands are freezing, but it is what it is. You just got to watch out for the black ice. These morning drives in the morning with black ice, people crashing everywhere. I will tell you that I have been avoiding Route 24 at all costs. I don't even get on it anymore. I've been going back roads to work. But even that, you're driving the gauntlet. All these back roads, the potholes are out of control. And then they go out and they fill them in a little bit, and then it rains, and for whatever reason, the water gets under there and it floats up, and it's just another pothole again. So you got to be real careful. And you know what? Again, like I mentioned in the past, imagine, you hit one of these potholes, right? You get a flat tire, you damage your rim. What the freaking process of getting your money or reimbursed to get that fixed, right? By the time you're done, I think of my truck, I got 22-inch aluminum wheels on there, big tires. I would be like $1,000 a rim in if I hit a pothole hard enough. How am I going to how long is it going to take them to pay me that money back? So, I try to drive real careful, and I've been slowing down a little bit just to try to avoid, one, drive safely, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm blind. Like, I can't see anymore. Is it me, or is everybody driving around with their high beams on? Right? It can't be me. Like everywhere, like literally, and I don't even know. Maybe it's the automatic high beams now, like the automatic high beam option. I think they need to fix that, because, rather than it shutting off as soon as it sees my headlights, it literally blinds me. Right, I can't see where I'm going, and then they shut off. So I don't even know if it's a human thing or if it's an automatic thing. I know Rachel's car has the automatic high beams, but if you're coming around a corner, right? A bend in the road, and the vehicle that's coming at you, if those lights aren't shining directly at the vehicle, it keeps them on for a little longer than it should. And I think that's what's happening. I think, it just doesn't work right. And I can't be the only one. You guys let me know if you're experiencing it too. Like, man, I am literally blinded when I'm driving. I mean, hold on, baby Jesus. I'm holding on with both hands, hoping and slowing down and trying to make it through. But, listen, if you don't need your high beams, then don't turn them on. I mean, what's funny too is you get a little bit of snow and these snow squalls, and the worst thing to do is turn your high beams on, right? Because you're magnifying the snow, and it becomes like a wall of white. You can't see anywhere. So don't turn on your high beams unless you absolutely have to. My goodness sake, you're blinding us, right? I mean, everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing it. You gotta stop, So listen, guys, if you haven't had a chance to go over, go check it out, www.etsy.com/shop/The Bobby Couto Show. Go get a mug. Go get a t-shirt. You're right. Go just show your support for the show. It goes to a good cause, and as long as you keep supporting it, then I can keep doing what I love and providing you guys a whole helping of the greatest podcast of all time, right? Isn't that what this is? Right? I mean, who else is going to tell you about 2005? Nobody. Nobody's going to tell you about it. Nobody. But listen, I just wanted to just talk about one more really, really cool thing. Maybe we'll walk out of it, but really, really important to discuss evolution. And when I think of evolution and I think of the way that we're moving forward, I have to mention something that I just absolutely super cool, something that I didn't think that I would see in my lifetime, and that is the creation of, if you haven't heard, the creation of Space Force. President Trump just signed a bill on Friday. It's a $738 billion defense spending bill that now is what we call now the Space Force. So it'll take about a year. Actually, you know what? I got a really cool clip. It's NPR, guys, but it's really good information. I want to share this with you guys, because I really think that it's something that is like super, super relevant. And I think it's when you really think about the way that we are evolving as a people, and the fact that we have come to a point now where we are now in space. Like, this is legit. This is like, when we talk Starship Enterprise and the Federation, like, this is the beginning of that, guys. This is really what this is. And I get this really cool clip. It's about 2 minutes long, but you're going to love it. And it just really, I was going to talk about it and realize quickly that there's really a lot of information about it. And I didn't want to give you just my one-sided take on it. So I figured, you know what, let me go NPR. They got a really cool clip. It's about 2 minutes long, and they really explain how great this is. So give this a listen, guys, real quick, and then we'll talk about it in a second.
When President Trump signed the defense spending bill on Friday, he created the Space Force. It's officially the sixth branch of the U.S. Armed Services. NPR's Merritt Kennedy explains what it will actually do.
Called the Space Force.
President Trump said Friday that maintaining American military superiority in space is absolutely vital. The U.S. is leading, he said, but not by enough.
Because space is the world's newest warfighting domain.
About 16,000 Air Force active duty and civilian personnel are being assigned to the Space Force. There's still a lot to figure out, including the force's uniform, logo, and even its official song. Todd Harrison, who focuses on space security at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, says this change is long overdue. But first, here are a few things the Space Force will not do.
It's not about putting, military service members in space. It has nothing to do with NASA. It's not about protecting Earth from asteroids or aliens.
He says the Space Force is basically going to repackage and elevate the missions that the U.S. military already has in space. Harrison says that for years, these responsibilities have been spread out between the Air Force, Army, and Navy.
It will create a centralized, unified chain of command that is responsible for space, because ultimately, when responsibility is fragmented, No one's responsible.
He says military systems in space provide crucial information to the troops. GPS satellites help the military hit targets precisely. Satellites detect things like missile launches and gather intelligence. They're also used for communication and collect data on the weather. Joan Johnson-Fries, a space security expert at the Naval War College, says this kind of information is crucial in warfare today.
Whoever has the best information and can get it the fastest wins. And space provides a lot of that information.
She says Russia and China may be interested in interfering with that flow of information. And she adds that she's concerned about Trump's description of space as a warfighting domain.
It's unnecessarily provocative.
Johnson-Fries says that kind of language could lead other countries to boost their own military capabilities in space.
When the United States starts chest thumping, all that does is prompt others to do the same.
Still, she says the Space Force has evolved a lot since the Trump administration first announced it. As she put it, a swaggering announcement turned into a rational implementation plan for something that needed to be done. Merritt Kennedy, NPR News, Washington.
How cool is that, right? Like when you really, really think about it, right? Like how amazing is that, guys, that we are living to see the sixth branch of the military, right? The Space Force. And that it's not something that they're talking about doing. It is legit. It is like you heard it. They're talking about uniforms. They're talking about, how they're going to move forward with this. And in my opinion, I think it's probably been, Reagan mentioned it. I don't know if you guys remember Space Wars. He actually called it Star Wars in its military form. And that was really the idea that, Russia could send a missile into out of orbit and then have it re-enter orbit and attack the country. In this case, guys, I really think that what we're looking at here is the idea that we have so much technology in space. You think about, for you and I, just the idea of GPS, how important and relevant that is. You know what I mean? I know we kid about it, we make jokes and there's commercials and people driving into rivers and things like that, but I think we have become so accustomed to having GPS. I go back and think of the days when I worked at Comcast and there was no GPS, and you had a book in your hand and it had like all the streets in it with the cross streets, and that's how you got around. I mean, you used paper maps, and usually hopefully you had a passenger and your passenger was reading the map. Today that's not the case. Today we put an address in, and it takes us to where we need to go. And I think it's such a great thing and a great technology. And I don't want to get too far off course with this, but I think of somebody like Rachel, like my wife, and who sometimes was a little nerved about driving, say, Boston or out of her comfort zone into other cities or states. But since GPS has been available, it's made it much easier, and it's grown her confidence to say, what, I can go anywhere because I don't have to worry about directions. I know that I'm not going to get lost and get just forgotten somewhere. I have a means, a way of finding my way out of here. So imagine if that didn't exist anymore. Imagine if we didn't have GPS. Not to mention the amount of data that's transported through the satellites in space. I think by all means that we seriously need to think and protect about some of our most important assets, which we might have orbiting around the planet. So congratulations to us as Americans. I think it's an amazing thing. I again, when you talk about evolution as a species, right? I mean, the idea that we're leaving the planet every day now, and we have people in space 24/7. There's always humans in space at the Space Center, space station, doing some type of experiments and revolutionary cures to diseases and ailments that we never thought possible. So for me, I'm all about it, and I think that the fact that we're moving in that direction as a species is just phenomenal. So I'm glad I got to share that with you guys. I always try to find something really cool and outside of the norm. And when I had heard that, I'm like, wow, how amazing and cool is that? And and I like the fact that the clip had kind of both sides, and talked a little bit about the the how it's being perceived per se by the American people and maybe other nations. Do I think other nations need to be on the watch? Yeah, why not? You know what? I think if we're doing a space force, I would imagine that there's some need for it. The scary part is you start talking about satellite asteroids in space, and they talk about these asteroids that are coming close to the space or the planet's orbit. That stuff kind of makes me a little scary. But I did watch a movie once, and they brought a nuke and they drilled and they were able to save the planet. So I'm hoping that Bruce Willis can save us in the event that we have an asteroid headed towards the planet. But anything other than that, whether it be China, Russia, or any of these other superpowers that are trying to influence our assets in space, I think we should be able to protect it. So I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. I just thought it was fantastic, and I hope I enlightened you a little bit. But just kind of recap a little bit. Guys, we're an hour and 35 minutes into the show. I realize that you guys are real busy this time of the year, and the idea of trying to keep you guys behind the radio for too long is something I don't want to chance. So just want to recap on the show a little bit and on what we talked about, and hope that the message today was a little lighthearted, not as committed as usual, not looking to see or change anything today, but would love to know that you are all hearing this in a good place. I hope that everyone is enjoying the season. Granted, you try to gauge how people are feeling through social media, and it's almost impossible. Of course, this time of year is always tough for people. We lose the ones. A lot of people lose loved ones this time of the year, so it's a reminder of those people. But then again, you have to remember how much life is also been brought into the world at this time of the year. It becomes very easy to become consumed by the thought of those who are not with us anymore, and memories, and but I just encourage you guys to think a little differently. I think the memories is really what this is all based on. For me, I really want to talk and remember about the wonderful and maybe not the so wonderful times in my life, but even talking about those times, although at the moment, at the time of the story, things might have not been the greatest, but in retrospect, when you look back on them and you realize that, gee, if I had to do that to get here, then I would have done it tenfold, right? I mean, it's really what that is. To know that you've made it this far, or even if you're just on your way, knowing that this time of the year you get to be with the ones you love, and share these special moments, and maybe take a couple of selfies, and maybe share those moments with others, and even if they're not with you, even if you're not together. The amazing thing about technology is that we can all share these moments. It was funny. It was at my mom's today, like I mentioned earlier, just visiting, and Megan had texted a picture over of Penelope. Penelope was painting some artwork, but of course she was literally covered from like shoulder to wrists in paint. So she sent a picture over my mom's phone, and guys, I'm embarrassed to even say it, my mom still has a flip phone. So she flipped the phone open and she showed me the picture of it. So, right away I pick up my iPhone and I do a FaceTime, and I FaceTime, Penelope and Megan, and I flip the phone and I show it, and my mom and my uncle can both see Penelope, and they just absolutely adore Penelope. And it was amazing to see, the fact that it was FaceTime, and you and I probably take that for granted. You know what I mean? We see each other on FaceTime, and it's not a big deal. But you're talking about my mom, you're talking about my uncle, we're talking old school boomers that aren't used to that type of technology. So the idea that that my mom was seeing her granddaughter, and my uncle was seeing his great niece, and interacting with her. you could see the tears in their eyes and how excited they were. And it just, to me, when I see that, it really just, I'm just blown away, and I hate to sound, like maybe that I'm maybe exaggerating a little bit, but it's not exaggeration, guys. I'm absolutely blown away at the fact that we've come this far and that we continue to make life that much better. It just seems like, the recipe for life has gotten really good, and these new technologies keep arising, and it's almost like adding more ingredients and more flavor and more desire to consume life, right? To be a part of it, to realize that, hey, I don't want to be by myself over here. I want to share these experiences with people. I want people to know. I want people to share their experiences with me. I want to see what that looks like. Even now we take it for granted, right? You pick up your phone, and even if you're scrolling through, let's just say Instagram videos or Twitter or Facebook, videos, just kind of, already amazing the fact that the algorithm is written that it's pretty much going to show you videos of things that you're interested in. That in itself is amazing, but the fact that you could just kind of scroll through there and see just some amazing things that you never even thought possible, and we just seem to take that for granted, and we really shouldn't. We should really realize, I know that I can speak for myself, and that wasn't always there. There's this generation out there that doesn't know a world without it, and you know what? I would imagine that most of this audience listening to this podcast lived in a world that didn't have a YouTube and didn't have a Google, didn't have FaceTime. And really, you know what? We lived in a world where those things were science fiction. You know what I mean? Captain Kirk and the communicator, right? I mean, guys, the bird. Remember Nextel, right? Remember Nextel? Greek. Remember how cool that was, right? You could just immediately send a message to someone. I know when I worked at Comcast, that was the greatest thing ever. We went from having cell phones, which you thought was a great technology, to going to Nextels, and in that business. I tell you what, that was what a great step forward. And then, whatever happened to Nextel and the Direct Connect technology, I don't know if it just died or whatever it was, but Apple, right? And then iPhone, and that's all anybody was using. I know even now, if you have an Apple Watch, if you use an Apple Watch, you can use the walkie-talkie feature on your Apple Watch. But if you guys don't remember Nextel, man, right? Nextel was great. I used to have a blast with Nextel, right? You always wait for your buddy to get into the store, right? Wait for him to walk in the store, and all of a sudden just key up on him and just start screaming through the microphone, right? Embarrass him in the stores and watch them fumbling as they're trying to lower the volume. Good times with the Nextels, right, guys? Good times with the Nextels. But, that it seems like it was so long ago, but yet it really wasn't. And just remember, guys, that this technology moves at a pace so rapid and so quickly that even now, and you know what, I'd like to consider myself tech savvy. There are things in technologies, guys, I watch. You know what? I don't know that if you would appreciate it if you don't do it, but if any of you guys are into social media, like really into it, like the Instagram, the Twitter, and all its functionality, it's amazing the things that you can do, guys. It really is. The integrations, so for example, not to bore anybody, but if I'm gonna do a podcast, I try to get at least some type of media out there to let you guys know that it's coming. Like I did for 19. I would do a little poster with the 19 and try to do something relevant to what the show is going to be. But on the other end of that, I go to other podcasters and go to their pages and see what they have. And they got links to everywhere. Like they got links and they videos, and it just all looks so great and so grand. And I kind of, not that I'm jealous, but I just, I'm trying to learn this stuff, and I'm trying to teach myself and get myself through it. I don't have like a social media coach or anything, so I'm trying to learn this stuff, and I'm doing the best I can. I think, you know what, guys, I think I'm doing all right. I'm getting more followers. We're getting more followers. The show's doing great. Everything's going wonderful. So, I'm not changing a damn thing. I love it the way it is. You know what I mean? I do, and I hope you do too. I do. I hope you guys enjoyed the opening, Theory of a Deadman. I thought that was a great jam. Again, just trying to bring in something different, right? Not something always the same, not always the obvious. It doesn't always have to be the Beatles. It doesn't always have to be Led Zeppelin. You have these cool bands like Theory of a Deadman that puts really good music together. You know what I mean? And Bad Girlfriend, right? That's what a nasty, great song that is, right? If you feel like being bad, put that one on. Your ears feel dirty after listening to that song. I had a great time, a couple of great times, great memories with that song. But yeah, so if you guys have a chance, go give them a listen. It's Theory of a Deadman. The album is Gasoline. Like I said, start to finish, play it, you'll love it. And they have a couple of great albums. I know one of which they have a struggle, like addiction, depression. They're just good music, guys. So if you ever, if you ever want to just kind of step out of your element and just listen to something good, some good rock and roll, give them a listen. Other than that, guys, head over to Etsy. Go check out the merchandise. Go support the show. It's always greatly appreciated. I just want to take a minute too and say thank you to everyone for your support with the Shriners Children's Hospital and St. Jude's Children's Hospital as well. With the fundraiser that we had for the Bobby Couto Show, we did fantastic. Obviously didn't hit the $2,020, but we did raise a couple of $100, which was fantastic. You know what? The way I look at it, it was more than they would have had hadn't the show put a fundraiser out. So any little bit helps. I'm glad that I was able to participate. I donated a little something. I always mention, everybody could use a little help every once in a while, but these kids, they need the help every day. So, just because it's the Christmas holiday, it makes it easier to give, but more so when it's not the Christmas holiday. So let's not lose sight of those families and those children that really could use our support. So I just want to thank everyone for checking that out. And again, the fans, guys, I want to thank you. I want to thank everyone. There's been a couple of new fans, and these are friends that I've known for many years. Celia, I want to shout out to you, who's a great friend, who is so involved in the show. Just the constant great feedback and the support from her. I'm so grateful. Again, these are people that I haven't seen or spoken to in a really long time that are kind of back into the mix and really involved in everything. So I'm just so grateful for that. Shout out to my brother Lou, who's always constantly supporting the show. And of course, everyone, guys, to you. I want to thank you. I mean, here we are, 19 episodes in. I thought you know what the really cool thing here is, guys, and I'll set it up, and I'm really excited about it. Episode 20 is going to be monumental because we're talking episode 20, and it's going to be before New Year's, right? We're talking episode 20 right before New Year's, right? We're going into 2020, episode 20. What are the chances of that happening, right? That can't be a coincidence, right? So we're talking episode 20 will be monumental. I'm already starting to plan it. I can't wait for it. I want to do some really cool stuff. That'll be a live cast. I'm hoping that maybe, let's have the cat out of the bag. Maybe we can get more than one guest in the studio, right? Maybe we get a couple of guests in the studio. Maybe you, right? Did you want to be on the show? How about that? Send me a message. Let me know if you're available. You know what? I'd be willing to work around a schedule. Shoot me a message. Let me know if you'd like to be on the show. Maybe we can do a group thing. Maybe we can have like a bunch of people on the show, talk to a couple of the fans of the show, tell us what you think, right? I think that'd be awesome. Like that just happened right here. We just kind of birthed that out of nothing. How awesome is that? I think that's fantastic, right? We can do that. I want to do that. We'll see. You know what? Let's talk about it. Watch it on social media. I'll put it out there. I'll see if I get any. I'll throw some feelers out there and see if anybody's interested. Like I said, maybe we get a couple of microphones set up. We'll live cast it. Maybe get a couple of drinks going, have a good time, and maybe do like a New Year's special, right? 2020 New Year's episode 20, 2020 New Year's special, right? We could talk about the greatest moments that you've had over the last 10 or 20 years, right? Because 2000 to 2020. Guys, 20 years. I mean, imagine how much evolution has taken place in that time span, right? You know, we think about all the people that we've met in that time. We think about the people that we've lost in that time, and realize that all of that leads us to where we are right now. And so that's really, guys, that's really the message today, you know, is, you know, if I go back and I go into my family tree and I look at, you know, the path that led me to where I am right now, you know, that I got a lot of information today, and just the idea that I was able to share that with you guys. You know, I didn't know that my Aunt Camille was the first one to come here and you know, have the rest of the I didn't know that. You know what I mean? I had no idea, and learning that today was very humbling to me, and I'm very sad that I only learned that today because she's no longer with us. I wish I had known that before. I wish I had known that she was the one that literally opened the door for my family, a family of immigrants, to come to this amazing country and live and raise their families and have the joy of just experiencing freedom in its true form. I mean, I love my country. I know you love your country. We love our country. We all want the best for our country. And I know that I am grateful for everyone who fights for that freedom, supports that freedom every day. That's something that I don't lose sight of. I know that I am that we were guests here, and that the fact that I was born on this land and that I've been able to live under the freedoms of which have been granted to me because of that, I am grateful for that every day, and I think that you should as well. And of course, this holiday season coming with Christmas and New Year's, we cannot lose sight of that, guys, that we get to celebrate this time of year every year with the ones we love, because we have those overseas, all over the world, 24/7, around the clock, always protecting and watching out for us. So hats off to them and to their families for, you know, truly the ultimate sacrifice. And I just want to say thank you to all of you. I want to wish everyone a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah to everyone. I am so grateful to be here. It makes me emotional to think about it. I cannot thank you all enough for this opportunity and for this amazing experience. This truly is, to me, the greatest Christmas gift that I could ever have received. You know, the sheer fact that I could record this podcast for you weekly, that you're listening, and that we continue to grow is more than I could ever ask for. I know it's funny, and I don't want to sound cliche, but, you know, my family asks me, what do you want for Christmas, Dad? You know, what do you want for Christmas, honey? And I mean this, and you say it, and a lot of times you say it and you really don't mean it, but I say it and I mean it. I literally, truly have everything I could want in my life. I don't want for anything that's under the tree, anything that Santa brings me this year. It's all bonus, because I've gotten you know what, even the idea, even in my professional life and my career, you know, where I've landed, you know, with my job, with my manager, with the people that I work with, I just all of it combined together, guys. Listen, you need to get here. If you're not here, I hope you're here, but if you're not, you need to get here. And if I can help you get here, just let me know, because this is a beautiful place to be. This is just a wonderful, amazing place to be, and I want to share it with all of you, and I hope that you're all reaching the pinnacle of your lives, and that you're happy to get up every day, and that you're enjoying what you're doing, and that you feel like you're making a difference, because I know that I feel like I'm making a difference. And I hope that you take all this information, you digest it, and you get ready for it every day, because if you're not willing to fight for you, then no one else is going to fight for you. So just stay in the fight the good fight, and remember, everybody, all roads